Hi, it's Pastor Paul Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Satisfaction Saturday. We're at that last day of the week, and we have the satisfaction of knowing that God has been with us all week long and shall continue to be with us and to lead us and guide us just as he promised that he would. And I'm just so grateful. Today, I want to ask that you would please look with me into Psalm 29, a very powerful psalm. This is one of those psalms that we attribute to David, a psalm of David. Remember who David was. David was considered to be that shepherd boy, grew up to be that man, grew up to be that king, grew up to be that priest, one who was after God's own heart. And now we find out in Psalm 29, a very powerful psalm, where it talks about the importance of honoring the Lord and knowing his voice. So today I want to talk to you about the voice, the real voice. You know, there's a TV show that's been going on for nearly a decade that's called The Voice. And at the end, they always decide who will be the winner. And all of those who are watching get a chance to put in their inputs. Those who have been coached, those who have been groomed by these other musicians, these other singers. And so then they get to the point where they get to the finale. And then they decide the one who is the winner. Well, you know, those are some great voices, but there's no voice like the voice of the Lord. In Psalm 29, David begins to share with us about the voice of the Lord. He talks about how the heavens are always up there and God's splendor is known there. But then he talks about God's voice is not only in heaven, but God's voice is on the earth. You know, it's powerful to ever hear God's voice and to know God is speaking to you. Some people have said they've audibly heard the Lord to speak, but I don't know about you, but I hear him speaking every day through and by his word. This text is one of those texts that allows us to see what is in the power of the voice of the Lord. You know, the Lord calls all of us in that still small voice that we hear him in our spirits and in our minds. He calls us to a relationship to be with him. But in our text today, it says that we know that the heavens honor God. The angels sing of his glory, all of the splendor, all of the majesty. But here it begins to let us see that on earth, it echoes the voice of the Lord in the seas. And the voice of the Lord is so powerful that he does so many wonderful and majestic things. In the text, it begins to give us a litany. It lets us see that the voice of the Lord is majestic. You know, I remember that song, oh Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. His voice is so majestic. His voice is just awesome. Whenever the Lord speaks, things can't help but happen. Notice it says that the Lord's voice splits the mighty cedars. Just the voice of the Lord, things happen. You remember that poem by James Weldon Johnson, how he talks about how God said this, how God said that. And even in the book of creation, in the book of Genesis, where the adaptation of James Weldon Johnson's God Trombones came from, it lets us see that it is the voice of the Lord that causes things to happen. You know, God said, let there be light, and there was light. God said, let all of the fowls of the air come forth. Let all the fishes of the sea come forth. The only thing God didn't use his voice to create was humanity, because the Bible lets us see he puts his hands on us. And after God creates us with his very own hands, it is then he speaks to us. He puts us in a powerful relationship. You know, relationship is so powerful because when we hear the voice of the Lord, it lets us hear more than we ever would have imagined. Notice it says that the voice of the Lord skips like a calf. The voice of the Lord is like a young wild oak. The voice of the Lord strikes with lightning bolts. The voice of the Lord speaks in the wilderness. The voice of the Lord is splitting the oaks. The voice of the Lord is so powerful that he causes things to change shape, to move, to shift. And you know, when we allow the voice of the Lord on this day to move in our lives, we can find out there's a shift in our lives. There's a shift in what we do. How the Lord, when he speaks to us, we'll find a new skip. We'll find a new way in which we live life. This text is so powerful because David begins to talk about what happens with the voice of the Lord. And I believe that is so apropos to be in Psalm 29, because all of us know how David heard the voice of the Lord in more ways than one. How David heard the voice of the Lord when he was out taking care of his father's sheep. How David heard the voice of the Lord even when he had committed sin. The Lord told him, come on back, David. I need you to know that I love you. I'm so happy that God has a voice that speaks to all of us, and a voice that we can echo to the world, to let the world know that God loves you. God is not pleased with our actions that are not in harmony with his word, but he reaches out with love to redeem us and call us back to himself. Today, I hope you will hear the voice of the Lord speaking to you through and by his word. I hope we can hear the voice of the Lord speaking to us through and by this universe that we see. I hope we can hear the voice of the Lord speak to us so we can say, like the songwriter says, "Speak to me, Lord." And when the Lord speaks to us, it is then we can't help but answer and obey. God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in worship here at the Fountain.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.